And I was digging around in my Uncle David's bedroom, and truthfully, I was looking for a stack of Playboys, uh, and I found this guitar case, and I slid it out from under the bed and opened it up, and it was just like, whoa, like the briefcase on Pulp Fiction.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Tulsa Tempo Podcast. My name is Amy Elizabeth, and I'm your hostess. We're coming to you from the beautiful Blue Couch Studios, located right across the street from the legendary church studio. Today, we had the honor of listening to Mr. Brad Absher and his mighty band, the Superials, do the tunes at noon, and they were kind enough to come, well, two of them were kind enough to come over and visit with us today on the show. So welcome, Brad, and welcome, Cole Seigel.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, keyboard player extraordinaire. I had a lot of solos today.
Yep.
So how was it playing outside, first summer gig?
Yeah, it was. I was just saying, I'm sweaty.
Hot.
It's the first summer kind of summer show.
I haven't heat acclimated yet.
Right, that's what I was
Still
saying.
not. I need some more fishing days before I'm used to being in the sun.
It's going to take me a minute to get used to being sweaty. But what a beautiful day, because we had so much rain last night, and it turned out beautiful. It's perfect.
Yeah, it was a perfect day. Perfect day.
Yep.
So tell me about your set. I know that you kind of call it the church studio your home away from home. So tell me a little bit about what was different today.
Well, it was Leon's birthday for one, so we started off with Manhattan Island Serenade, one of my favorites. We don't play that one a lot, but I love it. We should play it more probably. Great song. It's got that signature Leon, really it's just a 3-chord blues, but he puts like 6 other chords in there.
Those little walk downs.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just signature Leon stuff.
The E minor, D minor to C major is the Leon.
It was great. Yeah. And we played almost all original music today, since we just had an hour to fill, which is, I enjoy doing that whenever we can.
Well, you have quite an impressive catalog of music. We were talking a little bit before the show. The most recent one you did was your in session over at the church in November of 2025.
Yep, we haven't even released it yet.
That was a pretty big deal. It was a pretty packed house. It was really good. Tell me about doing that. Was that the first time you've ever done an in session?
That's the first in session we've done, yes. And we all thought, okay, we're cool. We got this. We're pros. And then when we showed up to set our stuff up, we were just blown away by the fact that people were almost touching us. I mean, it was, I knew there was going to be an audience and everything, but I mean, they were like right closer than Cole and I
looked
are.
over and there was 4 people just.
And so that was weird. And we were so nervous. And, we've all played music our whole lives, and we don't get stage fright or anything anymore. But we were all just totally nervous. None of us, we didn't have a drink. We were totally sober, which I got to say is not really our thing. On break, we said, you know what, let's have a beer. And we had a couple of beers, and the second set's way better. It's just not because we weren't drunk, but we were just we were so nervous. It was funny.
You look over it, and it's the whole audience, and then Dylan Layton's head has just popped up like he's just sitting. Yeah,
Dylan
right
was
in
literally
the middle of
surrounded like a horseshoe with people, and it was really odd. And we ended up having a great time, and the recording turned out.
We had Travis Fight and Monica Taylor on backup vocals on that.
That's always
background
fun.
vocals.
Yep,
they did a good job.
Can't go wrong with those two. They're pretty good.
We've got a couple of them mixed and ready to go, and we'll finish it up soon here and get it out for you fine folks.
And do you have a release date yet, or is that still pending? Yeah.
No.
Are you going to put that on vinyl?
Oh yeah.
Too?
Yeah.
Cool.
How awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Everybody wants a vinyl now.
Mm-hmm. The one that you did prior to this was Tulsa Tea in 2022. Yep. And it was produced by Chris Combs. So tell me how It's a great album, y'all. It really is. And tell me how you how did you pick him? I mean, I know he's a great guitar player. I'm a huge fan of his.
Well,
But
Chris is one of the best guitar players you'll ever hear anywhere. And, he was putting an album out too. And part of his pre-production was for, I don't even remember the amount, but for X amount, he would produce an album for you. It was $1,000 or I don't know. I don't even remember. Like I said, I have no idea how much it was. So we were talking and I said, it'd be fun to work with you sometime. And he said, well, as it turns out, if you want to kick in a donation, I'll donate my time and make the record. And that's how that happened. So I helped him out with a little cash for his project, and he helped us, help with ours. So it was great.
Magic.
Yeah,
magic.
It was good.
And it turned out magic. And you released that on Horton Records.
Yep.
So, and Horton is definitely a staple here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Brian Horton is one of the best guys.
I don't know what we'd do without Brian. I don't know where we would put music out if it weren't for Brian. Yeah, he's done great stuff, and now he's retired from his day job, so he's even more available.
Yeah. And I hear that when I hear from a lot of artists all the artists that have ever worked with him, that there's no paper involved. Everything is very organic. Just go in and do what you do, and then when it's done, he heavy promotes y'all, and it's really cool, and it's all Tulsa.
It is. It's real grassroots, and man, he's done such a great job getting that stuff. It's almost impossible to nowadays. Everybody's got their own labels and recording studios in their kitchens, and it's really hard. His head's in the right place, and because anybody could make a record out, and anybody could say, "Oh yeah, I have a record label," but to actually get one going and have it do record label stuff is a lot harder than people think.
Yeah. And then the longevity of it as well. He just had his 20th anniversary last year, late last year, so that's a pretty big deal, for a little independent nonprofit record label.
It sure is.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And for him to have that is just amazing. And the music that he turns out, I mean, my God.
Well, it's everything from Fulbright to, it's all across the board. A lot of the Cherokee stuff's coming out on there, and it's just good stuff. Good for Brian. Thanks, Brian.
Absolutely.
We love you.
Thank you, Brian. You're the best. So, you have a pretty impressive catalog of music. I always say that my favorite record of yours is the Gulf Coast Soul that you did in 2005. I love every single song on that album.
Well, thank you. That's one of those records that there was always this list of fan favorites that everybody wanted to hear that weren't my songs, just covers that we played forever. And when I first got to Houston, I was so excited about the new guys that I'd found to play with that I just thought, you know what, we need to get up to Tulsa immediately and record these things. And so we came up here. David Percival produced it. It was the last thing I did, I think, on Yellow Dog, and had a blast. And I think we made a pretty good record.
Yeah, it's a great record. That's my favorite. I know it's kind of going in the way back. I'm like, considering your catalog here. You have Luck Dog in 2015 with Swamp Royale, excuse me.
Swamp Royale.
Can you talk a little bit about that band?
Well, that was a great band I had in Houston. Barry Seelan was the B3 player on that. Mike Patton was the drummer. We just had a cool little groove going for a while. We had an organ trio, so it was just three of us, guitar, organ, and drums, and the drummer was a really good singer. So we were a trio, but two of us sang, and we ended up playing all over the place down along the Gulf Coast, and just had a blast,
Have you ever done like a big name tour?
No, never have.
No? Have you been overseas at all either?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Played over there a few times.
Yeah. Where have you been overseas?
Oh, well, I played a lot in Holland, a lot in Belgium, played in London a few times,
Okay.
over the years.
Nice. Do you want to do it again?
I don't know. I'm old now. I don't know how excited the sleeping on someone's couch would get me anymore. But yeah, I'm always game for an adventure.
Yeah. Okay. So I was reading when I was doing some research on you that I think one of the most this is just a beautiful quote. Somebody asked you like where you feel like most at home, or what is it all about, and you said that on the stage. You said that's where I feel most at home when I'm up on the stage with my guitar.
I think we all feel like that.
It's probably the only time I feel normal.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's
my gig is my 2 hours of like, oh, this is what is wrong with me. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, because as soon as a song starts, your mind quiets down and all the static goes away.
Yeah,
and,
all the noise is gone. And you're just kind of locked in the flow state.
Yeah, I think
what the
almost
youth
any
calls it now.
musician. That's not just me. I think we all probably feel that way a little bit.
It's probably our therapy, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
I know the times in my life like COVID, when the gigs were stretched out there, sometimes, a month in between a gig after you've been like us playing our whole lives, that was really weird. And I think a lot of people realized, I think just the opposite that you think. I think a lot of people didn't come back from that because they're like, okay, I haven't played in months and I'm okay. But boy, I was just the opposite. I was like, man, if we don't find something to do, I'm going to go crazy. But I've talked to a lot of people that were like, yeah, we just sort of hung it up after COVID, after that many months off. But
I don't have the choice with myself to get to hang it up.
Right.
There's no.
Yeah, I don't know what else I would do.
There's no hanging up.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to several musicians, and several of them have said, like during COVID, that was a gift almost to us, for musicians, for time, because if you're playing out so much, you don't have a lot of time to write, and a lot of time to just make music and be creative, so now we were almost forced to do that. And there was some pretty good music that came out of that situation.
I agree. You know what, though? I was so glad I talked to John Fulbright one night at the Canes in the green room, and we were talking about, he's funny. He said, I didn't write a song during COVID. He said, we watched about 20,000 hours of Netflix. and you know what? I was relieved that he said that because I didn't really write a bunch of stuff either. And you hear about people, I wrote 6 albums during COVID and I wrote a novel, and it's just like, wait a minute, I haven't done anything. And so I was glad to hear that he didn't really use the time wisely either.
To be like a normal person,
right?
Because the musician lifestyle is not a normal lifestyle, So but I think in some weird way, it was almost a gift.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I know I've told the guys, the busier you get with a band, the less you practice, because you're playing every night. And you don't pop up in the morning and, you don't think about new songs when you're drinking your coffee because you've got a gig that night and you're tired. So yeah, in that regard, it was great for people.
Yeah. So we'll tell me a little bit about your history. About how you got your first guitar and things like that. And you lived overseas when you were a kid. So can you talk about that for a little bit?
Well, my dad was in the oil business. That's what took us overseas. We actually lived in Iran, in Tehran, where all the action is, in the late 60s when the Shah was in power. And, finding the guitar thing, I was just a regular little kid playing Pee Wee football and Pee Wee, Little League baseball. And one weekend we were at my grandparents' house in Miami. And my father's younger brother was away, probably at college. He was way younger, and I was probably 5 or 6. And I was digging around in my Uncle David's bedroom, and truthfully, I was looking for a stack of Playboys. And I found this guitar case, and I slid it out from under the bed and opened it up, and it was just like, whoa, like the briefcase on Pulp Fiction. And it was a Mose Wright Ventures model guitar, a copy of a Mose Wright. I didn't know any of this then, but, and just the shiny, just seeing that thing and that shape, that crazy shape, and it had a whammy bar on it, and I was like, oh my God, I was scared to touch it. I just stared at it. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. So I slid it back under the bed and I didn't say anything. And the next time we went, I asked my grandmother, I said, is there a guitar under the bed in David's room? And she's like, well, maybe. And she said, why don't you go see? And then it was on.
Yeah.
Then they let me touch it. And I think that year, but I wanted drums. I wanted to be a drummer. My parents took me to see Elvis on his last tour. We lived in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Ronnie Tutt was the drummer. And he had these big, giant, all the drums, drums were huge back then.
Mm-hmm.
This big fire engine red drum kit. And I came away from that, not wanting to be a guitar player, I wanted to be a drummer. And that year I got a guitar for Christmas. I guess my parents probably discussed it and they didn't want the noise or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a little Silvertone guitar. Typical story you've heard from every guitar player, a little Silvertone guitar, real high action. And I just banged on it until I, made some sense out of it and got a few lessons. And
oh, cool.
The rest has just been self-taught and, learning from other people.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Was your family encouraging to you, to be a guitar player as a career?
Yeah, my mom was. My dad hated the idea. He wanted me to be in the oil business, of course.
The same with mine.
He thought it was, goofy having a son that was a musician. He didn't think it was.
You got to get a 9 to 5.
He didn't think it was very cool at all. But then I found out, after he passed and stuff, I'd talk to friends of my dad's, and they, he was real proud of you.
Oh,
he was just one of those guys. He didn't say a lot.
Dads are like that. Dads
were like that back then.
I have a dad like that.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you got one attaboy. That's
right.
You just didn't need one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
About all
that
you
will
get.
Sustain.
One attaboy.
So how about you, Cole? When did you start playing?
I started piano when I was about 3. Classical lessons.
Mom make you, or?
I was super musical, and so my mom was very good about fueling what my natural talents were. And so then I did heavy duty piano lessons for 14 or 15 years.
Wow.
And only classical, and all I wanted to play was blues because my dad was my blues buddy, and he was sneaking me into Canes from about 5 years old for every little teeny tiny blues show that came through, random weeknights, loud old smoky Canes, and I'd just go in with my dad and for all of the blues. And so I would come back and tell my teacher, oh, I want to play blues. And she's like, she taught me like a 12 bar, and she said, that's about
right
where this ends. And I said, well, I think that's about where probably this relationship ends. And then my dad grew up with all the Tulsa Sound Cats. He drove Jamie Aldaker to high school. He was friends with Emily.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go over to Emily's house before I ever knew who it was. And so through that kind of circle, my mom was also friends with Walt, all the Tractors Cats. So we had 2 grand pianos at the house, like a yin yang. And then my lessons were just like a Tulsa pianist would come over, and I'd just sit and play and kind of listen to what they're doing. But I played drums in the Hall and Hall Jazz Band because there was already other keyboard players, and I play guitar too and other stuff. But yeah, it's been a crazy, tumultuous adventure of being only wanting to be a working gigging musician. And then my dad was in the oil and gas business. My dad wanted me to punch in a clock.
Mm-hmm.
My mom wanted to fuel my creative side. So it was this balance of want to make my dad happy, but I want to play music. And so it's been since I started playing professionally in a band in Tulsa when I was 19 called King James Version. And this is when a bunch of the old bands were playing here. This is 20 something years ago when it was like Full Moon, Gray Snail.
Oh, there were so many.
The Lolos at the Bowery.
Great bands,
and we got paid great then. And so, and then gigs would slow down, and I would go try and do a normal job and want to kill myself, and then go back to music. And then, so, about 3 years ago, my late wife and I moved here, and she knew me and was like, you just need to play. And so that was kind of when I just stuck my neck out and was like, all right, I'm just going to surrender to, I'm going to enjoy the ride and see what happens and play.
Yep.
And now you're one of the most in-demand keyboard players in Tulsa?
I don't know.
I would say
I don't
so.
know what's wrong with people's ears.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because you can pretty much go somewhere every night of the week and maybe see Cole on the gig. I think
It's true.
a couple weeks ago when I was leaving Mercury with a friend of mine and we saw you walking the dog. And do you remember that? And we were shocked. We're like, is that Cole? Out walking the dog? Why aren't you at a gig?
Yeah,
and you're like, it's mine. We were telling you to come to a show. We were on our way to another show. And you're like, look, man, tonight's my night off. I'm just going to walk the dog. I think I'm going to go get something to eat and I'm just going to chill. That was a rare night off in Tulsa.
and it's kind of like previous to living in Tulsa full time, I didn't really get to go scope out Tulsa music. I kind of just came and played and went home. So it's nice to kind of go and kind of share the love and go support other musicians because one of the coolest things about here is how supportive Tulsa musicians are of each other. I mean, everyone's at everyone's gigs, and like I didn't get to really have that reciprocity. So now I can kind of chuck some money in a tip jar and go watch my buddies when I've got some time off.
And that time, my friend that I was with, he was like, well, hey, man, if you want to come down to our gig, this, you're very welcome to sit in. It's like, oh, okay. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to go home now. So, and that is, have you seen that, being in Tulsa, for most of your life? Has it always been that, natural?
Yes.
Tulsa's the coolest
you do good,
scene.
we do
and
good.
I lived in Austin and I played in Los Angeles.
When I moved to Houston, I was shocked.
How so?
That the musicians were just absolutely cutthroat. They would stab you in the back over $50. And I think I learned it from, I don't know if I learned it from Bill Davis or from Jim Sweeney or whoever, but they always told me, whenever a new club comes along, if you get a gig in a new place, after you get a gig, tell them about somebody else they might like, tell them about us or tell them about, and I'd always done that. And when I moved to Houston and I got a gig, it took me months and months to get a gig at the Big Easy. That's the
spot.
That's the number one spot in Houston still, if you're a blues guy to play. And Tom McClendon, he was mean, man. He didn't want to hear about another guitar player, another white dude with a Strat, and he made me chase him for a long, long time. And when I finally got the gig, I said, hey man, I got another buddy. I got another cat that wants to get in here. He's from Wichita or whatever. And he just couldn't believe that I was pitching him another band. He's like, well, do they pay you for? I'm like, no, they're just friends of mine. It's the right thing to do.
Sure.
And I was just, it was a foreign concept in Houston. It was every man for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably how it is in most places.
Yeah. I have a friend that lives in Houston. He does these little live gigs and he said he came and saw me a couple of times here in Tulsa. And he said that he always talks about Tulsa and gets his audience like almost angry with him because he says they do all original music there, man. And he's like, and these cover bands are a bunch of, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, he's like, people are walking out of my show, and I'm not going to be playing there again.
There's just so much talent too. I mean, the LA thing was weird because you have so many people out there that are coming to LA to be a rock star. Right. Austin is cool, but it's saturated and hyper competitive and Tulsa, you're encouraged to be whatever version of yourself you are, and people love you to do that. Yeah. And everyone plays with each other. It's really cool too because you might have 2 or 3 cats that you end up getting to play with in several different kind of groups or formats. So that's kind of a cool thing. Well,
just looking around at the audience today when we were playing.
Yeah.
Nate Bellatti's there.
Tom was there.
Tom Revere brought his dad. Yeah. How cool was that? That means that kind of stuff means a lot to me because
it does.
Those guys could have done anything else in that hour, and they came by the church.
I said, a lot of times there's usually sometimes more musicians in the audience, than there are patrons, of the club.
And I mean that means the world to me. I mean. that's your people. If they're coming to hear you, you're doing something right,
Yeah.
And they're going to know if you're doing something wrong too.
And they'll let you know.
And they'll talk to you about it.
Maybe you ought to try.
What was that?
Try this, yeah.
Yeah, walk that down a little bit, man. But Tulsa's a beautiful scene. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, I tell everyone.
Stop telling people.
Well, because you come here and you have to act right.
Because then they're going to just show up, and then what?
They're on their way, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Look at who we have. D.A. Bowen. He's West Virginia guy. Jared Hard. He's another one that just kind of came around, and they're both doing so great.
The guy D.A., we played with, Kentucky, yeah.
Well, and then Chris Busada, who's here in town, he was old Tulsa musician, and he's like, man, I'm about over Austin, and so he's kind of nosing around, and
cool.
he did Shaky Graves' album, is super talented, so he'd be a really good addition to get back here in terms of as an engineer, and he's very talented when it comes to producing records. So
yeah, we need more. I think we need more producer types.
I agree.
In Tulsa, somebody that maybe they hear you and they go, you know what? Come here, I want you to try this. And
I don't know if we could afford what he wants to do an album, but maybe a couple songs.
Yeah, sure.
And there's studios, all over, the state. You have Kendall Osborne's place, Cody Clinton, and Mark Bennett.
You know what?
Just
I've never been to Kendall's studio, but I hear it's fantastic.
It's pretty
I'd
nice.
love to work with Kendall. I hear great things about Kendall's studio.
Well, Jake and the Idols just, they're going to be releasing an album. I don't know if I should be talking about
and
that.
And then...
they did their stuff there.
Yeah, I heard some of that.
It's pretty good. Yeah. It's really good.
And then Seagarden Senior's got his place right
down
across the street.
Yep. Yeah, it's just, you can't beat it.
So cool.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
And you know what? People think I'm joking about this, but if you would have told me when I was 13 that I would be friends with David Teagarden, I would have said, there's no way. Because when I was a kid, those guys were gods.
Yes.
Those guys, we would stare at their pictures on those Bob Seger records.
Albums,
the Eric Clapton albums. It's like, oh my God. And it just made you think like, dude, I could maybe do this. And if you're, I can't imagine not being, I remember I was a huge Skynyrd fan when I was young. And it meant so much to me that Steve Gaines was from Miami, Oklahoma. One of the guys in Leonard Skinner is from where my grandparents are from. This is incredible. It was somehow, it was like encouraging. It's like, okay, maybe I'll try this,
And how cool is it? You can be at a gig. I went to Don White's album release party at Thelma's. And,
yes, I was there. I saw you.
And David walks in, sits right next to me. And I'm like, how, when does that ever happen? It takes my breath away, and then to see, to be with Don White. I was starstruck, when I couldn't find my words when I first saw him at Cain's. And then months later, I got to meet him over at another event. And he was just like the most normal, kindest soul ever.
Cool.
And talked
Whenever
to
you
me.
meet those kind of people, they always are. They're just like.
And visited with me like he'd known me forever.
Right.
And in the moment, I was very in the moment, but then driving home, it kind of hit me. And I'm like, whoa, man. I just hung out.
For sure.
And then for him to remember you, and that is just, it just rocks my world, man. I get so starstruck and fangirl, and I do all that, because I love this music. I love this town and the people that make it, and so anybody that I can get to know and listen to and have on my show, this is just the best thing ever to me, and
well, thank you for doing this. This is such a cool little podcast.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Well, I wanted to tell me where we can find you on the socials, because I'm sure y'all want to go to the
Instagram, Facebook. The website is bradabshermusic.com, and it's got some real cool stuff on there. And that's about it on the socials, Facebook and Insta.
And then Cole's going to get our podcast hooked up on TikTok.
I think you guys really should do that.
I do not have a TikToker. I'm not a TikToker.
Just take little chunks from the full YouTube and just 9 of them a day, and it just will throw it in the algorithm and then link the YouTube to the TikTok. And boom, a bunch of people will come out of the woodwork.
Beautiful.
Guess that's all you have to do. I don't know. That's what I'm told.
That's
what I'm told.
Yep.
So, and I also wanted to ask you about your band, the Superials, because you have some pretty heavy hitters, in that band, longtime Tulsans, So tell me about them.
Yeah. Dylan Layton was the first person I called. I was actually living in the Philippines. My ex-wife worked for Chevron, and we were living in the Philippines. And when I found out I was coming home to Tulsa after 18 years away, which was really hard. We lived in Houston that time. And I called Dylan and I said, man, I've got this crazy idea. I want to have a bass player that will switch with me on guitar because I want to play bass sometime and front the band, and be the bass player. And so the first year or so, Dylan would do a set on guitar and then he would switch over and I'd play bass and then we would switch and we would do a set. It was still me singing and we just kind of realized that nobody cared. Nobody cared that we switched. And I'm like, okay, you play bass and we'll just go back to, but I thought it was fun. You sing differently when you're playing bass because you have to think about with guitar. If something's tricky vocally, you can just stop playing for a second and sing it. But on bass, you cannot do that. On bass, you got to keep that going. That's number one. And so vocally that's number two. And so I just wanted to try that. And then, who did I call next? I don't know. I met Victor. I wanted to have a whole horn section. And we quickly realized that that's expensive. I can't have a 7 or 8 piece band, even though no matter how much. And so out of the 4 guys that we were using off and on, Victor was my favorite. And so he's the one
he's great.
So he's the full-time guy now. And then my friend Stephen White introduced me to Cole. And I think I told Stephen that night, I'm going to steal your keyboard player. And that's how I met Cole, and we've hit it off. I consider Cole one of my best friends now. We're tight. I love having him. He's my favorite person in the band, and we can bounce ideas off each other, and he knows where I'm coming from and where I'm trying to go. And then we got Zach back there on the drums, and Zach's another one of those guys that plays about 14 gigs a week, sometimes 2 in a day. Okay, I got to go. I got another gig. And having him on the drums has really lit a fire under all of us.
I felt like when we added him, it kind of became the new version of where, okay, now
we're the Superials. Now we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I love all these guys so much, and we're making good music, and we're having fun playing. We're not winning Grammys or anything, but we're making real good music. And
man,
I think we're all really proud of it.
So, who do you go see? Give me your top 5 in no particular order. Who do you go catch when you're not playing?
My top 5 is probably weird. My favorite guy right now is a guy named Chuck Prophet, who I've listened to forever. I think he's a Californian, but we're exactly the same age, and he just makes cool music. I like Derek Trucks, obviously. I'm gonna go see and Warren Haynes. I like the Southern boys because I'm a Southern boy. Let's see, a couple more. Who do I go see? I love Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten to know Charlie a little bit through a mutual friend in Houston, and we hung out and talked guitars and stuff the last time Blackberry Smoke played in Tulsa. And those guys, I think those guys they're like the last real rock band. They're making real American rock, just like it used to. And I mean, all the old guys, Little Feed and, Lil George was a huge influence guitar wise. I listened to a lot of all the slide guys, Ry Cooter and, Sonny Landreth. And anyway.
And then you're out at local shows. I see you all the time, at Paul Benjamain gig, or we can go see some Seth Lee Jones, a lot.
Well, just locally, yeah. I mean, Seth Lee and Paul, Nate Bellotti, we were talking about him earlier, Jared Tyler. I mean, all those guys are just crazy talented. Jesse, of course, Jesse Aycock. I mean, you can learn something from any one of those guys. Bo's band, Pilgrim, man, they're so good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, every night of the week, there's going to
There's
be
somebody that's
a
going to blow
couple
your
bands
mind.
playing that are killer bands.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter how many times you see them. I've seen Paul Benjamain play countless times, and every single time he blows my mind with something that they do.
Well, and I think that's another thing that Tulsa musicians have done is, we don't just play the same. We keep it moving. You can go. I know there were a lot of bands that I used to go see in Houston, and you can tell I'd know what song was next because of they're playing Mustang Sally. That means whatever's next, or
a lot of times these guys don't even work off a set list. It's just like they just shout out what they're going to do next.
Right. Well, and we're guilty of that sometimes.
I think
but that
great.
just comes from having a lot of songs, and it's hard to pre-plan a set list. I mean, you might have all your rockers right up front thinking everybody's going to be going at the front of the night, and maybe you get there and it's a slow starter. So you want to I've always liked doing it that way, just
dialing it
gauge the crowd, and okay, now we'll play a fast one.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So, and Cole, how about you? Who are your top 5 here in Tulsa when you're not playing?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I kind of am an organ player that likes shreddy guitar players and have a tendency to emulate that sometimes the way I play. So I kind of like to go see Paul and Seth. I love Jared. Jared is just as a songwriter and a vocalist is fantastic. I spent a lot of time with Travis Fight. He's incredibly talented.
Travis is crazy
Travis
talented.
He toured with Leon. He's played with everybody, and he's like a hidden gem. But those people in Tulsa that do know of him know. But he's kind of coming now that he's been in Perkins. I'm like, man, you need to come out here and get in the mix as much as you can.
And once he shows, the room shifts.
Yeah.
Even this afternoon, when
and
he
his
was
wife
over
is Monica, is very talented songstress. And last night was cool. I was able to get to Colony early for my gig and caught Bobby Moffett, Hip Hop Happy Hour, and he's just left hand bass. I mean, it's killer.
I love playing with Bobby.
And then,
man,
what's so cool about Tulsa is we went from Hip Hop Happy Hour to Grateful Dead afterwards. And so, I mean,
with largely the same crowd.
Largely. So, if you get a Monday or Tuesday off, you're going to find something good at Mercury. You're going to find something good at Thelma's. You're going to find something good at the Colony any day of the week.
Yeah, and that is a consistent thing. That never changes.
No.
And the artists do, but it's a consistent.
I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Same.
Man,
yeah, it's wonderful.
I'm super blessed to be included.
I'm like, maybe I could lock down a couple more days a week, but then I probably wouldn't.
Then we wouldn't be able to see you on the street walking the dog.
I wouldn't have a weekend anymore.
Right, exactly.
So, well, thank you.
Oh, I'll tell you the other cool thing to catch, obviously, is the Bluegrass Brunch on Sunday.
Oh,
Johnny's
how could we forget that?
That's a whole
thing, y'all. Oh, my God.
That's a whole thing.
Just a commitment,
itself.
too. There's the rest of your Sunday, typically.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. And that kid was lightning in a bottle when I first saw him when I first moved here.
Yep.
And
he's off to the races now.
You what, he has blown up, and he's just going to get bigger.
Oh yeah, he is. They're blowing up. Johnny's going to be huge.
And that band gets better every time.
And he's got his head on straight.
Yeah.
They're
cooking.
Yeah, he was raised well. That Mullenax family is legendary here in this town.
They're all so talented.
And they're so talented, so kind.
I know. I can't imagine. My parents neither played an instrument, so to me that's just completely foreign. And that would be so cool to have musical siblings and parents.
Well, or like when you get to see Steven play with his dad. I told him one time. I said, "Man, that must be the coolest thing in the world." Because all I wanted to do was do whatever my dad did, whether we were going fishing or whatever. And man, my dad was my musical. He fueled everything that is why I listened to what I listened to. But he didn't play music, but he loved it. And I was like, man, how cool would that be just to get to play a gig with your dad?
Right.
You killer.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to see too, because they're so in sync with each other, and it's just
or
great.
with your son or daughter.
Yeah, or anything.
Incredible. Yeah.
Travis has some stuff that he recorded with his daughter Olivia, and it's cool. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it'll be neat.
Well, look at the Tea Gardens.
Yeah, the Tea Gardens. Yeah, exactly.
To see when Dave Jr. was here, to see those
little
three.
Maddie Tea Gardens out there now, crushing it.
I love it how everybody calls
playing
him
freaking
Maddie.
stadiums.
Yeah.
You
Maddie,
know?
Maddie's
Doing the
not too
thing.
shabby. You know?
Yep.
And
Baby
I always,
T.
and always, you can always tell a tea garden drummer, you know, because you can tell they were taught right, you know, because David has that real nice straight back, you know, he's not hugging his kit,
Right.
but he's on that beat, man.
Yep.
And it's just, and then David Jr. was like that, and now Matt, you know, it's just, it's so beautiful to see,
Yeah.
you know, and they're
Yeah, I've got some great pictures from they played together at the Canes
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, and I was on stage, and that was super cool.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to Matt too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's
Yeah.
not one of those young kids. Yeah, whatever. It's my dad. You know, he
Yeah.
knew.
Yep, he knew.
He
You know, and he
knew.
knows, and he continues to know, you know, because he's another one that's just in demand.
Right.
You know, now he's in demand.
Yep.
So, well, thank you guys so much.
Well,
for
Amy,
Thanks for
coming on
thank
the
having
you.
us,
show.
And
Amy.
thanks
You
for
guys were great,
keep the
guys.
podcast going, man. This is
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. And thank you all for tuning in to the Tulsa Tempo Podcast. We love you, Tulsa, and we'll see you next time.